Hello. Today is January 6th, 2021, the fateful day. Um, I'm about 6 miles north of downtown Washington, D.C. Flew in through Philadelphia yesterday with my son. I wanted to share my experience. I came because I have come to deeply respect a man against whom a great systematic campaign of ridicule and demonization has been waged. And he wouldn't be the first decent man to whom the world would do this. My son and I had the privilege of having about a dozen separate encounters with individuals and groups of people who are Trump supporters. Now, these were encounters with random people. I wasn't looking for people that looked like me or appear to be friendly. It's just people that happened to stand next to me, people that I would just happen to make eye contact with while walking down the street, people that I met at the car rental place, things like that. And one of the things that from my son's perspective, I believe what he would gain from today's experience is the extent to which the mainstream media has been absolutely deceitful about its portrayal of Trump supporters. Um, Without fail, every one of those, again, dozen or so encounters, with individuals and groups of people, um, demonstrated that these people, again, these Trump supporters, are some of the most decent people that we've met. Respectful, um, courageous, humble, uh, never a whiff of racism or this proud nationalism, that the left portrays these people. One of the things that we noticed also was there were a lot of Asian people in the crowd, a lot of blacks, a lot of Hispanics. Um, the vast majority of the Asian people we met were Chinese and Vietnamese. Sadly, we didn't really see a lot of Koreans. And the reason I say that that's sad is because I believe if anybody should respect and have gratitude for that deep American, the red American, the historical um, decency of America. It should be Koreans. We South Korea wouldn't exist without the sacrifice of American soldiers that fought in the war. So I do see that as being a little disappointing that we didn't have more Korean support. At the same time, I do kind of understand why that is. I think as a community, we tend to be a little bit more um, tight knit, within our own community. We don't really feel the need to even you know melt into the melting pot of American society. So, and there are other reasons. In any case, that was kind of disappointing. Um, we were outside the Capitol when the mayhem occurred. We didn't know that that was happening. Again, there were probably 300,000 people gathered there with all the smartphones. We had very little connection. Um, and the thing is, again, these were very, very peaceful people, very respectful. We were really surprised to learn that there was a breach and just the way that we saw every media that we were able to find a story on was that Trump supporters had breached the building and basically are just running around crazy. And this was a little odd. Later on, what we find is that the people that were actually the agitators, the people that the photos were taken by mainstream media, and it was shown later on that at least two of them, two of the most prominent, of the people that were there, were not Trump supporters. These were people that were also protesting at BLM rallies and things like that. So that was kind of interesting. In fact, one of those people we walked by him. We noticed him because he had this horn, hat. He wasn't wearing a shirt, heavily tattooed, and we thought, wow, this guy is not cold. We were shivering, in our several layers of clothing, and here's this guy. He appeared to be alone, and he was just kind of, yelling things. And that kind of made an impression. Who is this guy? Like, why is he just kind of out there? Isn't he cold? Interesting way to dress on a cold day. But one thing I distinctly remember as we passed by him, he wasn't a part of like a group of Trump supporters. He was just kind of standing by himself, and so it makes sense that the people that apparently breached the perimeter, the security perimeter, and charged the Capitol building were not the people that we saw. The people that were very peaceful, and we saw a lot of that. Again, another thing that we saw was later on that, interestingly, it wasn't a breach in a sense that you think of like Antifa or BLM members desecrating our courthouses or things like that. We saw camera footages of the fences actually being opened up and police standing by while people were walking into the Capitol building. And so, when I put all this information together, the thing that the conclusion that I'm drawn to is, again, the same media narratives that are incredibly dishonest. It's no longer incredible to me because I've seen the dishonesty. I've lived with the media dishonesty of who Trump supporters are. We're supposed to be these Neanderthals and racists, people who don't believe in science, who don't care about others. These are all lies, and that's the thing. I knew that I had a heavy burden to show up to this event because, again, this man that I've come to deeply respect, President Trump, asked Americans to show up today. And for some reason, that's been sitting on me, and I just couldn't shake that off. And I knew that I had to bring my son. And one thing that and I know that was the right thing to do. I've had to pay the price in some way from a personal relationship standpoint. Anyways, I won't go there. But what my son Joseph saw was what I couldn't really. It's not something that I could explain to him. He had to see it for himself. He saw the deceit. He saw that the mainstream media is absolutely deceitful. You had to be a part of this group of hundreds of thousands of Trump supporters to see that the caricature that has been pushed for the last, I don't know how many years, of Trump supporters and conservatives in general, these white nationalists, these racists and mean people, how dishonest that was. And the fact that my son was able to see that and will remember for the rest of his life and have that um, conviction that, hey, daddy wasn't lying, when he was talking about the dishonest media, because this goes much further than just the media. It's the dishonesty of the world system, whether it's academia that tries to push Darwinian evolution as, just this black and white, completely proven science, um, our Big Bang origins. Um, there's so many things that, especially these days, some of the narratives that have been pushed as being almost unquestionable. You can't question that, or else you're this or that. The BLM, narrative, or the America is a systemically racist nation narrative. These are all absolute lies. And I'm very thankful and glad that my son was able to see that with his own eyes, because I'm confident that neither of my children will ever end up being in the same camp of the mob um, that are so easily persuaded by secular humanist, ideas, whether it's coming from the mainstream media or the secular academia, or as a part of a giant corporation that that decrees that certain truths are unquestionable. So I just wanted to share this experience. I'm still praying. From the perspective of people who don't pray, it looks like the battle's over. It looks like Trump has lost. Um, but I, I don't think this is the way that um, it's just not compatible with my understanding of who God is and what our nation is, and the cause that you know that we stand for. So I'm at peace. Um, I know that God is sovereign. Um, Nothing can be done in history without His um, approval, and so I can go to bed, be at peace. And even though I am reviled as being um, crazy and a very evil person for brainwashing my children into this nonsense, um, you know, I can take those punches and still go to sleep and be at peace and thank God that He is sovereign, and that no matter what comes, um, He will, His will be done, and His kingdom will come, and not even a dot or tittle of His word would fail. So thank you for watching. I hope that you will join with me in prayer. I think it's time to pray, fast, wait upon the Lord, and see what He delivers. Um, Shalom. Good night.